Welcome back, Fantasy Moto fans, to the PulpMX Fantasy Show. I'm Donnie from RotoMoto, and in this video I have 5 riders I want you to look at when making your picks for the 9th round of Pro Motocross at Unadilla, tips for the FFL, the weather report, race day schedule, and an early look at what my team could be come Saturday. And stick around until the end to find out how you could win race use and autograph memorabilia even if you aren't good at the game. As noted in my most recent video on RotoMoto, 9 rounds in and the field is somehow deeper than when the season started. 450 class sees the return of defending champion Dylan Ferrandis running his number 1 plate for the final 4 races. Joining him in the fray are Dean Wilson and Malcolm Stewart, both looking to be fighting for top 10 finishes after brutal injury recoveries. Malcolm has not raced an outdoor since 2014, so he has a lot to make up for in those 8 years. 250 side sees Team Green returning 2 riders. Cameron McAdoo broke his sternum in the season opener, and he returns for just his 3rd national in the past 2 seasons. Rider D makes the official move to the pro ranks after finishing up his Loretta Lynn career last week. Star Racing Yamaha was hoping to have the entire squad ready to go this weekend, but it looks like only Nick Romano will return, leaving Levi Kitchen, Matt LeBlanc, and Colt Nichols on the sidelines. For this weekend, I have 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap guide for you gamblers out there, starting with the little class and then working our way up. 250 All-Star, I still recommend you take either Justin Cooper or Hunter Lawrence, whichever one you didn't have last round. But if you for some reason picked someone else at Washougal, then I would lean Justin Cooper this weekend. The Star Racing stud comes in boasting a 3 handicap despite finishing in the top 4 and 5 of his last 6 motos. His season opener was a train wreck going 11-13, but since then, he's averaged a 4.2 finish in each moto, and that extra 1 handicap gives him the edge over Hunter for me this weekend. This next one isn't quite an endorsement or a condemnation, but let's talk about Cameron McAdoo. He has a lofty 7 handicap, and he's going to qualify well, and I know I'm going to get a lot of tweets my way asking about Little Mac, so let's just get it out of the way now. He managed to injure himself in the opener of both this and last season, so we have to go all the way back to 2020 to get some real relevant data. Mac started 17 motos in the shortened season, ending up 9th in points with an average finish of 11.9. He was top 17 in 14 of them with 2 DNFs and a 19th, but he also had 12 top 10s, and that would slay here if he could just go 10-10 for 84 points. Obviously, the ram it risk is always there with Cam, but the upside is always there as well. Over to the 450s, let me tell you who I'm leaning away from this weekend, and that is Justin Barcia. He has a 5 handicap, which is statistically the worst pick of the bunch as he's been in the top 6 only 38% of starts this season. But not just that, his average finish is almost 8. And all of a sudden, there are 3 factory guys inserting themselves into the top 10 hunt that he will need to compete with. I would imagine Bam has Dean and Mookie covered, but Ferrandis should have him handled, and quite simply, there are just better picks from more consistent guys further up the field. A 450 guy that I do like this week, which I feel like I put him here almost every single week, is Shane McElrath. Do not be concerned about his team change in the middle of the season. The Rockstar Husky deal was hastily thrown together, and that worked out just fine. He's on the same bike that Garrett Marchbanks and Alex Martin have top 10'd on, so we know that it's good. Shane gets a bump in his handicap up to a 4, and he's been top 14 in every single moto but 1 this season, and that 1? He was just 1 spot off in 15th. Did I mention 0 DNFs? He's not a lock, but he's definitely on my early team and is most likely the last one to come off of it. The high handicap hero of the round given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a realistic chance to score massive points this weekend if you're the type of person that likes to sweat out 2 35-minute motos for a big payout. Going to the little class this weekend, as there is a huge value in Lance Kobush, much to the dismay of one Steve Mathis. Lance went DNF last round, ballooning his handicap up to 17, but even with those DNFs, his average finish is still just 22.6, which would leave you with 72 points. He's finished in the top 27 in every single moto except those double DNFs, and has a high of 16th, so mathematically, he's as solid of a floor and as high of a ceiling as you could hope for from a high handicap guy. Moving on to the FFLs, it's definitely down to just 3 guys, but which one is the one in the little class? Justin Cooper gets the nod for me here, as he has strung together the most in recent weeks after a slow start, and although he has not raced at Unadilla that often as an amateur, he is a New York kid and will be intimately familiar with the climate and soil. 450 side, it is all red, as Roczen and Sexton have taken 13 of 16 this year thus far. Normally, I would follow the numbers with Roczen's 8 trumping Chase's 5, but the finish line at Unadilla is only about 18 seconds after the start gate, and Chase has been more consistent with hole shots, with Kenny making up time later in that first lap, but still, just a coin flip away from being right with either guy. From the latest schedule last round to the earliest this weekend, Unadilla National in New York will see qualifying kickoff at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. RotoMoto Patreon supporters will see the enhanced cheat sheets around 11:30 in the morning, with the basic qualifying cheat sheet hitting Twitterland and Instagram at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And finally, the picks lock and the gates drop at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific for 4 hours of live action that can be watched on MAV TV or streamed on Flow Racing. It's going to be a nice and cool New England weekend with a high of 75 with a mix of sun and clouds to keep conditions nice and comfortable for the riders from start to finish. Before I show you my early team, I want to talk to you about Maxxis Tire coming on for all 12 rounds so I can deliver these videos for you. You know Maxxis Tire, you know their MXST tire designed by the king of Supercross and my all-time favorite rider, Jeremy McGrath. It is the newest and most advanced tire in the Maxxis MX lineup, featuring an all-new tread pattern, compound, and composition to provide the stability, predictability, and traction that the upper tiers of motocross demand. The entire SGB Honda team runs Maxxis on their race bikes, including PulpMX show favorites and on-again, off-again rivals Alex Ray and Cade Clayson. Available at your local retailer and also at motosport.com. My Thursday team looks like this. Give me Justin Cooper at a 3 handicap, Ryder DiFrancesco bouncing back from Loretta's at a 5, Nick Romano boasting an 8, and high handicap hero Lance Kobush with a 17. 450 side, it's Old Man Dungy with a 6, Sugar Shane McElrath at a 4, and a pair of privateers to safety net me against the factory guys returning, Henry Miller at a 12, and Midwest hero Jeremy Hand at 15. The prize for the highest championship league score at Unadilla will be an autographed Pierce Brown jersey, but if you're not great at fantasy, that is okay. If you want a chance to win something like this autographed Dean Wilson O'Neal jersey, consider joining me over on Patreon. For just about $1 per week, you are entered to win race shoes and autographed memorabilia, and insiders and above double their entries, as well as an exclusive podcast talking fantasy stats on every rider in the field in that enhanced cheat sheet that comes out every single Saturday. Link for that will be in the description below. And don't forget to follow at PulpMX Fantasy and at RotoMoto on both Instagram and Twitter for injury updates as the weekend rolls on, qualifying info, and stats and banner throughout the race itself, and those fantasy cheat sheets once qualifying is done and wrapped. Thanks for watching the PulpMX Fantasy Show, presented by Maxxis Tire. My name is Donnie, and may your chizzes chiz this weekend. Remember that 8 is great, and most importantly, have fun. Good luck, y'all.